Okay. Sorry, I'm a little late. Not just a little late, I'm a lot late. However, I was trying to make sure that all my stuff worked so that way I could write and do things because I want to do some subnetting today. Um, which I just remembered I don't know if I set up the Wacom or the like little tablet so that way I could like write on and stuff. I think it needs to be plugged in. Hold on. Oh, let's get some jams going. There we go. Okay, so there's that. Sometimes I wish I could just wirelessly connect, but that's okay. Oh, good. Okay, let me see here. This should be a really easy fix. Mapping. Yes. Okay, I want it to be on monitor 1. Yes. Actually, does it matter if it's on monitor 1 or monitor 2? Probably not, right? So if I move this over here. Interesting. Okay, we'll map it to the center screen just to be okay with it, and then if we feel like we need to map it somewhere else because of whatever, then we'll do that. Okay, so today what we're doing is we are finishing up IPv4 addressing, and if there's time after everything, we're gonna possibly try some subnetting. We might watch a few of these videos, but probably not. But we are gonna start doing some practicing of subnetting, practicing of like conversions, of understanding what IPv4 is, some protocols and stuff like that. Just on the daily, like every single time, we're probably going to do some of those. I don't necessarily know where or when that's going to be within the stream, but I just know that we'll probably try to get through some of those things. I do also know that this lesson is a little bit more of a bigger one. It's not as big as the one it was last time. But I will also tell you, if you have not already, please go like and subscribe. Like the stream, share the stream, share it with a friend, something of that nature, anything like that. Also, feel free to go subscribe to my tech channel where I do a lot of stuff on here. I work through a lot of labs and things, and I'm working on more videos to get pushed out for you guys. So go check that stuff out. I also have a bunch of other live sessions that are here if you're interested in any of that stuff, although a lot of the old live sessions are still on Paradiddle Pete. So go like and subscribe to that. Let's go ahead and let's get into it.
Jeremy's IT Lab. This is a free, complete course for the CCNA. If you like these videos, please subscribe to follow along with the series. Also, please like and leave a comment and share the video to help spread this free series of videos. Thanks for your help. Also, remember to download and use the Anki flashcards with the link in the description,
Which I have.
which will help you very much in remembering what you have learned. Let's get started. This is the 8th lecture in the series, and part 2 on IPv4 addresses. This should be a shorter video than the last one, just covering a few things we missed.
Although it's still pretty long.
Let's go over what we'll cover in this video. I'll do a quick review of IPv4 classes and clarify some things I didn't explain well in the previous video. I'll explain how to find the maximum number of hosts, the network address, the broadcast address, the first usable address, and the last usable address of a particular network.
Okay, that's... Okay, never mind.
I introduced some of these in the previous video, but it's worth explaining in more detail. Finally, I will outline how to configure IP addresses on Cisco devices, which we'll then practice in Packet Tracer in the next video. So, this is the chart of the IPv4 address classes I showed you in the last video. I taught you that the 127 range is reserved for loopback addresses, so it's generally not considered part of the Class A range.
What are loopback addresses? That's something I don't really know. I'm not gonna ask ChatGPT. I'm just gonna ask Google real quick. What are loopback addresses? IPv4 is a special reserved IP address used by a computer or network device to send network traffic based to itself. In IPv4, the Internet Class A network range from these reserved for the purpose being the standard universally recognized address. Interesting. Built in directly to the operating system network stack. When you send data such as ping to a loopback address, the operating system intercepts the request initially and immediately routes it back to the system. So it's so that way you can ping yourself. But can't you just ping yourself anyway? Network software and web development to safely host preview. Oh, okay, interesting. I've never used that, or maybe I have used that making websites and I just never realized.
However, the 0 range is also reserved in Class A. So some might say Class A really begins at 1, making the range 1 through 126. Different sources say different things, so I recommend that you remember Class A is 0 through 127, but also keep in mind that 0 and 127 are reserved, so really the usable range is 1 through 126.
Don't know what happened to my webcam.
We also saw this chart from Wikipedia in the last video. Leading bits of 0 for Class A, 10 for Class B, and 110 for Class C. A network number bit field size, also known as prefix length, of 8 for Class A, 16 for Class B, and 24 for Class C. A size of rest bit field, also known as the host portion of the address, of 24 bits for Class A, 16 for Class B, and 8 for Class C. The number of networks available in each class. And finally, the number of addresses per network. This is the maximum number of addresses, including the network address and broadcast address. Notice how it's calculated. 2 to the power of 8, 16, or 24, that being the length of the host portion. But let's look at how to calculate the maximum number of usable addresses, the number of addresses that can be assigned to hosts. So let's take this Class C network, 192.168.1.0/24. Because it's Class C, it uses...
Okay, because it's Class C, it has this 24, because 8 times 3 is 24, because each of these is an octet.
Uses a /24 prefix length, and therefore the last octet, the last 8 bits, are the host portion. That means that the host portion can be 0 to 255. So 0 to 255 gives us a total of 256 addresses.
But we can't use the first one. We can't use the last one. The first one's reserved for the for the network. That's like the label, the name. And then this is the broadcast, if I remember correctly.
Which is 2 to the power of 8, because there are 8 bits. But remember those 2 special address types I mentioned in the last video? If the host portion is all zeros, it represents the network.
And the reason this is 56 is because we count 0.
Address, sometimes called the network ID. It can't be assigned to a host. Also, if the host portion is all ones, it is the network broadcast address, the address used to send a message to all hosts on the network. It also can't be assigned to a host.
All portions, wait, host portion all ones. What does that mean?
So actually, the maximum hosts per network is 2 to the power of 8 minus 2, which is 254 for a Class C network like this.
Okay, yeah, so the reason it was 56 is because we count 0 in our calculations. Now, I know that sounds really stupid to be like, what do you mean you count 0? The best way to explain so that we don't get confused with 0 when counting and stuff like that, especially when we're dealing with this, is just remind yourself that when you were born, you were not born 1 year old. You were born 0 years old. And then after your first birthday, then you were 1 year old. Everything always starts from nothing. And these are no different. So that's why it's not 53, because you would think, okay, maybe it's 55. And that's why it's not 56 over here, because it has to be 55. Okay, I know that seems very strange and it kind of gets off whatever, but there you go.
Now let's take a look at this Class B network, 172.16.0.0/16 through 172.16.255.255. The host portion is
Yeah.
16 bits, giving 65,536 possible addresses. However, this address with a host portion of all zeros is the network address, and this address with a host portion of all ones is the broadcast address. So really, the maximum number of hosts in this network, or any Class B network, is 65,534. Now let's do one more example with a Class A address, 10.0.0.0/8 through 10.255.255.255. The host portion is 24 bits, so that gives 16,777,216 possible addresses.
Seems like a lot, but it's
This
actually
network
not.
address and this broadcast address can't be assigned to hosts, however. So the maximum number of hosts in this network, or any Class A network, is really 16,777,214. So the formula for determining the number of hosts on a network is 2 to the power of n minus 2. N is equal to the number of host bits. Now let's calculate the first and last usable addresses for this Class C network, 192.168.1.0/24.
So it should be... Damn it.
So this address with a host portion of all zeros is the network address, or network ID.
Yes.
Add 1 by changing the last bit of the host portion to 1,
Because this is the octet to here.
and you get 192.16.
And the reason this is 1 is because we have 128, 64, 32, 16, 8, 4, 2, 1.
8.1.1.
If there were 2 1s here, then it would be 3. If it was just 1 1 here, it would be 2.
And that is the first usable address on the network. So that's how you do it. Add 1 to the network address to get the first usable address. How about the last usable address? Well, this address with a host portion of all ones is the broadcast address. Subtract 1 from this address by switching the last bit to 0,
Yes.
and you get 192.168.1.254,
Because 255 is reserved for broadcast.
which is the last.
Oh, that's why it says the portion all ones. Host portion all ones. Because 255 means everything is a 1. The whole octet is all ones because you add it all up. Okay, this is making sense.
Usable address. Next, let's do the same for this Class B network, 172.16.0.0/16. This address with a host portion of all zeros is the network address. Add 1, and you get 172.16.0.1, and that is the first usable address on the network. How about the last usable address? This address with a host portion of all ones is the broadcast address.
Yes.
Subtract 1 from this address, and you get 172.16.255.254, and that...
I have questions. Oh, the /16 tells you that it's a Class B. Okay, never mind. I don't have questions. We're good. 172. No, that's right. Yeah. Okay, we're good.
That is the last usable address. Finally, let's do the same for this Class A network, 10.0.0.0/8. This address is the network address. Add 1, and you get 10.0.0.1, and that is the first usable address on the network. Next, let's find the last usable address. This address with a host portion of all ones is the broadcast address. Subtract 1, and you get 10.255.255.254, which is the last usable address.
That's crazy.
Okay, so hopefully you understand both how to calculate the number of usable addresses in a network and the first and last
So
usable...
how do you utilize the different classes in an enterprise? Like, if I'm at a university, how do I compartmentalize which... I know that you can make subnets, but, like, how do I figure that out? How do I know if I should use a class A, B, or C? Or is everything just class A and then I just subnet it all out? Interesting.
address in a network. Really, we covered this material in the last video, but I wanted to make it clear. Now let's move on to actually configuring a Cisco router with IP addresses. So here's a small network I put together in GNS3, with 3 small networks connected to a single router, R1. Keep in mind that it's not really realistic to have only a single PC connected to each switch. In a real network, there will be many more hosts and possibly more switches in each local area network.
Yeah, that's fine.
So we have one Class A network here, 10.0.0.0/8. PC1 has the first usable address in the network, 10.0.0.1, and we will assign the last usable address, 10.255.255.254, to R1's gigabit 00 interface.
Oh, this might be important. Hold on. So sorry. Bro, I hate when I'm expecting an important phone call and then scammers call me. Like, nothing aggravates me more than that.
We have this Class B network, 172.16.0.0/16. PC2 has the first usable IP address, 172.
So does that mean that's the gateway address?
16.0.1, and we will assign the last usable address, 172.16.255.254, to R1's gigabit 01 interface. We also have a Class C network, 192.168.0.0/24. PC3 has the first usable address, 192.168.0.1, and we will assign the last usable address, 192.168.0.254, to R1's gigabit 02 interface. Let's go into the CLI of R1 and make the configurations. So I logged onto the CLI of R1, and as you can see, I used EN, the shortcut of the enable command, to enter privileged exec mode. Now let me show you a great command you can use to confirm the status of each interface on the device, as well as their IP addresses. That is the show IP interface brief command. Let's check out the info this command gives us. First off, the interface column lists the network interfaces on the device. As you can see, this router has 4 interfaces, Gigabit Ethernet 00, 01, 02, and 03.
It shouldn't matter which one we pick.
The next column lists the IP address of each interface. As you can see, they are all unassigned at the moment, but we will soon assign IP addresses to the top 3 interfaces. We'll use this command again afterward to check. Next is the OK column.
Because each interface is
I think this is a legacy feature of the command. It's not relevant anymore. Basically, it says whether or not the IP address is valid or not. On modern devices, the device won't let you assign invalid IP addresses, so you should never see no in this column. The interfaces currently have no IP addresses assigned, and as you can see, that is considered a valid state. Next is the method column. This indicates the method by which the interface was assigned an IP address. Currently, the status is unset, but let's check what it is after we assign IP addresses. Next is the status column. Basically, you can consider this the layer 1 status of the interface. If the interface is enabled, there is a cable connected, and the other end of the cable is properly connected to another device, you should see up here. However, here it displays administratively down. This means that the interface has been disabled with the shutdown command. However, I haven't done any configuration on the interfaces yet. So, this is the default status of Cisco router interfaces. We haven't looked at switch interfaces yet, but Cisco switch interfaces are not administratively down by default. They will either be up if they are connected to another device, or down if they are not connected. Notice that even though Gigabit Ethernet 00, 01, and 02 on this router are connected to switches, the interfaces remain administratively down because the shutdown command is applied to them by default.
Okay, that makes sense because a router has the ability to like go out into the real world, has the ability to go to like the WAN. So you would want that to be you would want that to be automatically down so that way you don't accidentally broadcast yourself.
The final field of the output is protocol. While the status column referred to the layer 1 status of the interface, this is the layer 2 status. Because the interfaces are down at layer 1, layer 2 can't operate, so all of these interfaces are down at layer 2. You'll never see an interface with a down in the status column and up in the protocol column, although the reverse is possible. Once we configure these interfaces and enable them, we should see up in both the status and protocol columns. So remember these points. The status column refers to the layer 1 status. For example, is the interface shut down? Is there a cable attached, etc. The protocol column refers to the layer 2 status. For example, is Ethernet functioning properly between this device and the device it's connected to?
Okay, that makes sense.
Expect both of these columns to show up once we're finished with our configurations. So let's configure the Gigabit Ethernet 00 interface first. I use conft, the shortcut of the configure terminal command, to enter global config mode. Next, to configure the interface itself, I have to enter interface config mode. So I use the command interface, followed by the name of the interface, Gigabit Ethernet 00.
Okay.
As you can see, it now displays config IF beside the hostname of the device.
Actual Gigabit Ethernet.
Now, before we move on, let me show you some other ways to enter interface configuration mode. First off, notice that you don't need the space between Gigabit Ethernet and 00. You can connect them, and the CLI will still understand and bring you to interface configuration mode for that interface. Now, how about the shortcut version of the command? Well, as you can see, there are many possible commands beginning with I from global config mode, so that's too short. However, there is only one option beginning with IN, so that's the shortest version of the command. Keep in mind, you don't have to use or even remember what the shortest version of each command is. For example, I always type INT for interface, even though IN would work too.
Yeah, I put config T.
Just use whatever is comfortable for you.
I don't put conf T.
It may even help you remember the commands if you type the whole thing out every time. Okay, now how about the short version of Gigabit Ethernet? Well, as you can see, there are multiple options with just G, so you might think that's too short. However, here's something cool. If you type the 00 after the G, it works. The CLI will understand and bring you into interface configuration mode for Gigabit Ethernet 00. So, whether you prefer to use shortcuts to maximize efficiency or take your time and type out the whole command, remember that the command to enter interface configuration mode is interface, followed by the interface name. Now that we're in interface configuration mode, let's set the IP address. That is done with the command IP address, and then you type the IP address.
But you have to
Notice I used the context-sensitive help, the question mark, to display the next option, and it is the subnet mask. This is another name for the net mask I referred to in a previous video. As opposed to writing /8 for this class A address, we will have to write out the subnet mask in dotted decimal. For those of you who have heard of the term subnet or subnetting before, don't worry. We'll cover those topics in depth soon in separate videos.
Okay, and that's what I want.
So, you may remember /8 is equivalent to 255.0.0.0. /8 means that the first bits are all set to 1, and a binary octet of all ones is written as 255 in decimal. Next, I enter the command no shutdown. This is the command we use to enable the interface.
Okay, because
remember I said that Cisco router interfaces have the shutdown command applied to them by default?
And no
well, to cancel the command, type no in front of the command like this.
We learned that in past videos.
Now that we enter the no shutdown command on the interface, we get two messages on the device. The first one says, interface Gigabit Ethernet 00, change state to up. This refers to the physical layer status of the interface, the status column of the show IP interface brief command we looked at. The second message says, line protocol on interface Gigabit Ethernet 00, change state to up. This is the layer 2 status of the interface, the protocol column of the show IP interface brief command. So, now if we take a look at the show IP interface brief command, both of those columns should display up. Let's check. Here I use do to let me execute this privileged exec mode command from interface config mode. And notice I used shortcuts instead. SH IP INT BR instead of show IP interface brief. As you can see, we can now see the IP address. The method is displayed as manual instead of unset, and both the status and protocol display up. Seems like our interface configuration was a success. Let's do the configurations for the G01 interface next. I'll give it an address of 172.16.255.254. The prefix length is /16, so what will the subnet mask be? So I use the int G01 command to enter interface config mode for the interface. Notice that I didn't type exit to return to global config mode and then type int G01. You can directly switch from one interface to the other. Next, I configure the IP address, using the shortcut add for address.
Okay, so how do we get 255.255.0.0? Is that because it's a class B? And that's what's possible? I think that's exactly what it is.
What is the subnet mask of 255.255.0.0, which indicates a prefix length of /16?
Yes.
Then I enable the
that is
interface with
exactly
no
it.
shut, which is a short version of the no shutdown
No
command.
shutdown.
Once again, I get 2 messages saying the interface has come up. Then I check the interfaces again with show IP interface brief, and you can see that gigabit Ethernet 01 has an IP address, and its status is up. Finally, let's configure R1's G02 interface with an IP address of 192.168.0.254. The prefix length is /24, so what do you think the subnet mask will be?
Subnet mask. Oh, damn it. I was trying to do it. Yeah, it's going to be 255.255.255.
So I use int G02 to enter interface config mode for gigabit Ethernet 02. Then I configure an IP address of 192.168.0.254, and the subnet mask is 255.255.255.0, which is equivalent to a prefix length of /24. I enable the interface with no shut, and once again I get the 2 messages indicating the interface has come up. And then once more I check the status of the interfaces with show IP interface brief. Looks like all of the interfaces have been properly configured. Their IP addresses are displayed. Their method column displays manual, since I manually configured their IP addresses.
Yes.
And their status and protocol columns show up and up.
So can you enable DHCP on a router and or a switch? I would imagine so. Like, why wouldn't you be able to do that?
Before finishing, I want to introduce some more show commands that can be used to check out the interfaces on a Cisco device.
Okay, I'm gonna go grab some breakfast real quick. I'm just gonna grab it and bring it back. I'll be right back.
I'm marching through a Jeremy video as well.
Nice, man. So yeah, I got some cookies. That's the Breakfast of Champions. Chips Ahoy, sponsor of this study stream. So yeah, that's what I'm gonna be munching on. That's my brain food. Good for you, dude. Jeremy is really good. I really like his videos. I'm only on day 8, but like, they're good.
First up is the show interfaces command. You can enter just show interfaces, but it shows a lot of information for each interface. So I recommend specifying which interface you want to check. In this case, I specified G00. This command shows primarily layer 1 and layer 2 information about the interface, but also some layer 3. Gigabit Ethernet 00 is up. That means that layer 1 is working. Line protocol is up. That refers to the layer 2 status of the interface. This line is like the status and protocol columns of the show IP interface brief command. Hardware is 1 GBE, meaning 1 gigabit Ethernet. Address is 0C1B8444F000. That's the MAC address of this interface. Notice it says BIA, followed by the MAC address again. I mentioned in a previous video that the MAC address can also be called the burned-in address. Well, that's what BIA stands for.
Okay, burned-in
Why is it listed
address.
twice? Well, BIA refers to the actual physical address of the interface. However, you can actually configure a different MAC address in the CLI, although usually you won't configure a different MAC address. Internet address is 10.255.255.254/8. This is the IP address, of course. Feel free to take a look at the rest of this information if you want, but I'll explain more of it in detail in a later video. It's all detailed layer 1 and layer 2 information about the interface. Now let's look at one more valuable command. Show interfaces description. Well, as you can see, it has status and protocol columns like the show IP interface brief command.
Yes.
But
so
it also has this
up,
description column.
admin down.
Interface
down.
descriptions are optional, but can be very helpful in identifying the purpose of each interface. Let's quickly go back and configure descriptions on each of these interfaces. So from global config mode, I once again entered interface config mode for G00. The command to configure an interface description is simply description, followed by the description. Now, there aren't any rules regarding how to describe your interfaces.
Yeah, but you don't want to put some dumbass shit on there either. Like, I had that happen to me with a few packet tracers where I was like, this is the router, and I tried like writing full sentences and stuff, and it was like, it's not worth. Try to be as concise and as like just straight to the point.
I use hashtags to make the descriptions more noticeable, and then I indicate which device the interface is connected to. I do the same for G01 and G02, using DESC instead of the full description command. I then use the show interfaces description command again, and now you can see the description of each interface.
Yeah, like, see how short and concise that is? Man, when I first started doing this stuff, like, I was writing like full-on sentences, thinking like that was gonna be good. It is not. It's not. No, just don't do that. Just short, concise, be just as simple as possible.
Now, there are many more show commands you can use to obtain information about a device's interfaces. We'll take a look at a few more throughout this course, but for now, remember show IP interface brief, show interfaces, and show interfaces description. Now let's review what we covered. This is the same slide I showed at the beginning of the video, but let's go through and make sure we covered everything. We covered IPv4 address classes, which we also covered in part 1, but reviewed in this video. We talked about how to find the maximum number of hosts, network address, broadcast address, first usable address, and last usable address of a particular network. If you're not sure about any of those, go back and listen to that part of the video once more before moving on to today's quiz. Finally, I showed you how to configure IP addresses on Cisco devices, as well as some show commands to gather information about interfaces. Now let's go on to the quiz for today's video.
Hit me with it,
If
Jeremy.
you want further help remembering what you've studied, remember to download and use the Anki flashcards from the link in the description. For this quiz, I'll focus on finding the maximum number of hosts, network address, broadcast address, and first and last usable
This
addresses
should be
of
way
the network.
easier than the last quiz.
First up, question 1. PC1 has an IP address of 43.109.23.12/8. Find the following: the network address, the maximum number of hosts in the network broadcast address, the first usable address of the network, and the last usable address of the network. Pause the video to find the answers.
So the network address should be 43.0.0.0, right? And then the maximum number of hosts for the network is that ungodly large, like, it's like 14 million or something like that. The broadcast address is 43.255.255.254. The first usable address is 43.0.0.1. And last usable one is 43. Oh, that'd be 255. 43.255.255.254. The broadcast address is the 255, not to the 254. Let's see how wrong I am.
Okay, let's check. The network address is 43.0.0.0,
Nailed
since
it.
only the first octet is the network portion. The maximum number of hosts is 16,777,000.
I don't know if you need to know that exact number. I just know that's really big.
214, which is 2 to the power of 24, because there are 24 host bits in the network,
I'm gonna eat this
minus
whole bag
2
of cookies.
for the network and broadcast addresses. The first usable address is 43.0.0.1, which is the network address plus 1, and then the last usable address is 43.255.255.254, which is the broadcast address minus 1. Let's go to question 2.
All right, I need these cookies to go away.
PC4 has an
Otherwise,
IP
I'm gonna eat
address
the whole
of
bags.
129.221.23.13/16.
Okay, so this is a class B because it's 16. Man, we're really gonna get fucked up when this says like 25, you know, or like 18 or, you know, something. So this is 129 point something .0.0. I don't remember what the second octet is. Is it just 1? Or is it 255? Okay, it might be 129.255.0.0. Then we have max address, number of hosts. This one's not near as big, but it's still pretty big. I think it's like a little under 1 million, or just a little over 1 million. Okay, network broadcast address 259.221.255.255. The usable address is exactly the same, except the last octet is 254, and or no, it's 1, and then our 01, and then it is 255, 254.
Find the same 5 values. Pause the video to find the answer. Okay, so the network address is 129.221.0.0.
Okay, so it is just literally just that. Okay, got it.
The maximum number of hosts is 65,534, which is 2
Oh wow, it's significantly less. Significantly less.
to the power of 16 minus 2. The network broadcast address is 129.221.255.255. The first usable address is 129.221.0.1, and the last usable address is
We're killing it, boys.
129.221.255.254. Let's go to question 3. PC8 has an IP address of 209.211.3.22/24. Find the same 5 values. Pause the video to find the answer.
Okay, so this is a class C. Class C. So it's going to be 209.211.3.0. The maximum networks it's significantly lower. I think it's like 6,000 or 5,000 or something like that. It might be even more, like 3,000. The network broadcast address is 209.211.255.255. Oh, no, 3.255. First usable one is 301, or just 1 right here. And the last one is 254.
Okay, so the network address is 209.211.3.0. The maximum number of
Yes.
hosts is 254,
Oh,
which is 2 to the power of 8 minus 2.
Oh,
The network
duh.
broadcast address is 209.211.3.25.
Because it's... Okay. Never mind. I understand the assignment now.
5. The first usable address is 209.211.3.1, and the last usable address is 209.211.3.254. Let's go to question 4. PC5 has an IP address of 2.71.209.233/8. Find the same 5 values. Pause the video to find the answer.
Okay. Network address is 2.71.0.0. The max number of hosts is like 65,000 something. The network broadcast address is 2.71.55.55. The first usable one is 271.255. No, 0.0. And then the last usable one is 2.71.255.255. 254. Give it to me, Jeremy.
Okay, so the network address is 2.0.0.0. The maximum number of
Damn it. I did all of it as if it said 16, /16, not /8. Dang it.
hosts is 16,777,214, which is 2 to the power of 24 minus 2. The network broadcast address is 2.255.255.255. The first usable address is 2.0.0.1, and the last usable address is 2.255.255.254. Let's go to question 5. PC6 has an IP address of 155.200.201.141/16. Find the same 5 values. Pause the video to find the answer.
Let's see here. That's 16, so that is Class B. So it's going to be 155.200.0.0. The maximum number of hosts is going to be like 65,000 or something like that. I don't remember what the equation is exactly. The network broadcast address is going to be 155.200.255.255. First usable address is going to be 155.200.0.1. The last usable address is going to be 155.200.255.254.
Okay, so the network address is 155.200.0.0.
Nailed it.
The maximum number of hosts is 65,534.
Nailed it.
Which is 2 to the power of 16 minus 2. The network broadcast address is 155.200.255.
Oh, it's just 2 to the power of whatever this is.
255. The first usable address is 155.200.0.1, and the last usable address is 155.200.255.254. Okay, that's all for the quiz. Hopefully you feel confident in determining the network address, maximum hosts, broadcast address, and the first and last usable addresses of a network. As usual, there will be supplementary materials to help you practice and remember what you've learned. There will be review flashcards using the Anki software. Check the link in the description. There will also be a practice lab using Packet Tracer,
Yeah,
so
we're
you can
about to
try
do
out
that
the
next.
CLI commands we learned in this video. Good luck with your studies.
Okay.
Thank you for
Yeah,
watching.
Jeremy, man, if you are not subscribed to Jeremy IT Lab and you're studying for the CCNA, then I do not know what you're doing. You definitely need to be subscribed to him. We're going to open up this Packet Tracer. Da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Whoa. And it's good stuff. There we go. And we'll pull this down just a little bit. I won't pull it down too much. How about there? That's good. All right. So we're going to look at this sheer old packet tracer here. And we're going to configure R1's host name. We're going to use show command to view the list of R1's interfaces, their IP addresses and statuses, etc. Then we're going to configure the appropriate IP addresses on R1 interface and enable the interface configuration appropriation interface appropriation appropriate interface description. Okay.
Welcome to Jeremy's
So-
IT Lab. This is a free, complete course for the CCNA 200-301. If you like these videos, please subscribe to follow along with the series. Also, please like and leave a comment, and share the video to help spread this free series of videos. Thanks for your help. Let's get started. In this lab, we'll configure IP addresses on a Cisco router. This is like the demo topology I used in Day 8's main video. I just changed the IP addresses. We still have one Class A network, 15.0.0.0/8, one Class B network, 182.98.0.0/16, and one Class C network, 201.191.20.0/24. Let's get started. The first step is to configure R1's hostname.
Yes.
I haven't done any configurations yet on R1, so it still has the default hostname of router. Let's go on to the CLI of R1. Now I'll use enable to enter privileged exec mode. Then, to configure the hostname, we have to be in global config mode, so conf t. Now let's set the hostname. Hostname R1. Okay, you can see the prompt changes to display the new hostname. That's all for step 1. Step 2 is to use a show command to view a list of R1's
Whoa, hold on. Config T. Host name R1. There we go. Changed. Nice.
Interfaces, their IP addresses, status, etc. Do you remember what command that is? It's a very helpful.
Let's see here. The command should be... Wait, is that showing up? It is not showing up. That's... Okay. There we go. Now it's showing up.
Command which you'll use a lot as you configure Cisco routers.
Show IP interface. What'd I miss?
Show IP interface brief.
Dang.
As you can see, the command doesn't work. Why is that? Well, it's because show commands are normally done from privileged exec mode. However, let me use the up arrow to return to the previous command. Then I'll use the shortcut Control A, so hold the Control key and press A, and then the cursor returns to the beginning of the line. Then type do in front of the command, and now it lets me enter the command from global config mode.
Oh.
Now you can see a list of interfaces, their IP addresses, which are unset at the moment, and their statuses. Remember, the status column indicates the layer 1 status. Currently, their status is administrator.
I didn't know you could do that. Interesting. Very interesting. Okay, anyway, let's keep going.
Because Cisco router interfaces have the shutdown command applied to them by default. The protocol column indicates the layer 2 status of the interface. Because layer 1 is shut down, layer 2 can't operate, so they are all down. We will configure gigabit Ethernet 0,
Okay, that makes sense.
1 and 02 in this lab, so they should all become up afterwards. Step 3 is to configure the appropriate IP addresses on R1's interfaces and enable them. We are also instructed to configure appropriate interface descriptions. Let's start on the gigabit Ethernet 00 interface. Just for this interface, I'll type out the whole command.
Interface gigabit Ethernet G0/0 is what it's supposed to be, I believe. So interface G0/0. Hey.
Gigabit Ethernet 00. There we go. As you can see, the prompt has changed to show that I'm in interface configuration mode. Let's configure the IP address. Once again, I'll use the full commands for this first interface. IP address 15.255.
IP address 15.255.255.254. Incomplete command. Oh, because I need the subnet mask, which is going to be 255.0.0.0.
How are you doing?
What's up, man? I'm doing okay. Actually just learned that, where is it? That if you're in configuration mode, wait, no, where is it? Yeah, if you're in configuration and you hit show IP interface brief, it's not going to show, which I already knew that. But what I didn't know is that you can put do in front of it and it'll show it anyway. So that's kind of cool. Did not know that.
5.255.254. Now, what's the appropriate subnet mask for a /8 prefix length? It's 255.0.0.0.
Yes.
Now let's configure a description. I'll indicate that this interface is connected to switch 1. Description, I'll put 2 hashtags, 2 switch 1, and then again hashtags. You can use different descriptions if you want.
Yeah,
This is just how I do
because
descriptions.
you're a different mode.
Finally, let's enable the interface. No shutdown. Immediately, I get 2 messages indicating that the interface has come on.
Wrong
Before
subnet
checking on this,
mask.
No, that's the right subnet mask. It's the one he used. It's a class A, so it gets 255.0.0.0. Yeah. I didn't know that do thing. I always just backed out.
I looked at it wrong.
Oh, okay, good. I was like,
Status of the interface. I'll configure the other two interfaces. To switch to configuring another interface, I don't have to exit back to global config mode first. I can just type interface G01 and now.
Oh, dang it. I forgot to do no shutdown. Does it have to be? No, it's one thing. No shutdown. Sweet. Okay, and then I need to go to G, was it 0/1?
I'm doing network hierarchy right now.
Nice. So now I'm in the next one, which should be. So then we just need to do all the same things again, right? IP address 182.98.0. That's not right. Hold on. Let me make this bigger really quick. Why does this one have both? Oh no, that's the host. That's the address. Okay, I understand now. We are good. So that means that that is our address. And I'll make this go a little bit smaller now that I can see it better. 98.255.254. And the subnet mask is going to be 255.255.255 .0, I believe, because that is a C class. No, it's not. That's a B class.
Oh, I'm in interface config mode for Gigabit Ethernet 01. Let's set the IP address. IP address 182.98.255.254.
Yes.
The subnet mask for a /16 prefix length is 255.255.0.0.
Yes.
And the description. Description, hashtag, to switch to, hashtag. Let's enable it. No shut. Okay, now let's go to the last interface. Interface G02. IP address 201.191.20.254. And the subnet mask for a /24 prefix length is 255.255.255.0. Next, the description. Description.
Dang, dude, he's fast. I'm not gonna lie. So that's gonna be 201.191.20. No. Yes. 254. So then the subnet mask 255.255.255.0. Yes. Why is that incorrect? Oh. IP address. There we go. Then we need description is going to be doom switch 3. No, I want them all to be the same. Okay. And then no shut down. Nice.
Head to switch 3 hashtag. Finally, let's enable it. No shut. Okay, since we're done with the configurations, I'll use the command end to go back to privileged exec mode. Alternatively, I could have used the exit command twice. Once to return to global config mode, and then a second time to return to privileged exec mode. Now let's check on the status of the interfaces. Show IP interface brief. Now you can see the IP addresses we configured. The method lists manual instead of unset. And the layer 1 and layer 2 statuses of the interfaces are up and up. Now, step 5 says to view the running.
So what did I do wrong? There it is. So we have all of that. Up. Where's my descriptions?
Config to confirm the changes, and then save the config. Show running config. Here are the interfaces. You can see the descriptions and IP addresses be configured. Notice the default duplex auto and speed up. Descriptions running config.
Can you not abbreviate that? I guess not. Interesting.
Confirm the changes, and then save the config. Show running config.
Show run. But mine looks different. No, it doesn't. Hostname R1. Okay.
Here are the interfaces. You can see the
Well, no, the interfaces aren't showing up. Okay, hold on. There we go. Now, why did you do that? Whatever. There's.
What made you decide to study networking and not something like cloud or cyber?
I feel like this is just me personally, because I know people don't do this. I feel like in order for me to understand cloud and cyber, I need to understand networking at a mid-level. And to me, my perception is that CCNA is a mid to high mid understanding of networking. And if I understand that, then I feel like it'll transfer over better to cloud and cybersecurity. Because ultimately what I'm the most interested in is cybersecurity and how AI plays a part in that. Not just in attacking, but in defending as well. So that is why I'm doing all this, because I feel like it's the proper steps in order to build a much more, I don't know if holistic is the correct term, but like a much stronger, deeper, fundamental understanding of how the internet works. So I don't know if I'll get the cloud one, maybe, possibly, but I definitely want to do more with cybersecurity.
descriptions and IP addresses be configured. Notice the default duplex auto and speed auto commands. Also, if you look at the VLAN 1 interface, you can see the shutdown command, which, as I said, is applied by default to Cisco router interfaces. Okay, let's save the config. I mentioned in a previous video that there are a few ways to save the config.
Yeah.
Copy running config, startup config, write memory, or just write. I like to use the shortcut version of write, WR. There we go.
Wow. Building configuration, okay. So is that it?
Step 6 is to configure the IP addresses of PC1, PC2, and PC3.
Especially if you are working on any critical infrastructures if you don't have one already.
Yeah, so the original plan was to get because I was a school teacher. So I was doing all this like on the side, on the extra, and like trying to like teach myself and everything. So
It's mandatory for gov work.
yeah, and maybe I'll get a government job. I don't know. So when I first started, I decided to get the A+, Network Plus, CCNA, and then get cybersecurity and maybe cloud, like the Security Plus, and then maybe the Cloud Plus. So that was kind of like the original step-by-step plan, because I started from nothing. Like I knew absolutely nothing. And that's what I did. I even thought about getting the one that's like below the A+, just so because like I just felt like I was so low and I knew nothing. But now, like, I definitely feel like I understand a lot more things. I don't think it's necessary to go through the process of like how I went through it, but I do think that it was necessary for me personally to do that because it made the most sense in my mind.
I'll go on PC1 first. To configure configure the IP address, click config up here. First, notice that I pre-configured the gateway here. I'll talk about what the purpose of the gateway is when we talk more about routing, but notice that it's R1's IP address. Now, to configure the PC's IP address, click on Fast Ethernet 0 here. That is PC1's network interface card. And then here, you can configure the IP address.
Okay.
15.0.0.1. And look at the subnet map.
Oh, okay, okay. It just automatically populated.
Fills in 255.0.0.0 since this is a class A address. Okay, now we can exit out of here. Let's do the same on PC2. Click on PC2, click config, click on Fast Ethernet 0. The IP address is 182.98.0.1. And once again, it automatically fills in the subnet mask. This time 255.255.0.0 because this is a class B address. Now let's go on PC3. Click on PC3, click config, Fast Ethernet 0, IP address of 201.191.20.1.
Done.
And this time the subnet mask is 255.255.255.0 for this class C address. Okay, finally let's go back to PC1 and try to ping. Click desktop, then command prompt. Now I'll try to ping PC2. Ping 182.98.0.1.
Okay, now if I did this correctly.
Yeah, so the reason why I became a network engineer was because I had studied in HS. We did A+ and CCNA. They had to remove the CCNA course because students were failing it.
Wow, I just don't feel like CCNA. I don't know. Maybe it's because like I scaffold myself the way I did, because there are definitely some things in CCNA that are challenging, but I haven't come encounter with anything in CCNA where I'm just like, holy crap, dude! Like it's over, it's done. I can't do this. Like, I don't know. There's only ever been 25% loss. Let's run it again. I've only ever come in contact with like one class in my entire life where I was like, this is so ungodly hard, I'll never be able to pass it. And had nothing to do with technology or anything like that.
Okay, looks like PC1 can reach PC2. How about PC3? Ping 2.
Okay, let's ping. It wants us to ping the next one. So what is it? 201.191.20.1. Huh.
I landed my first tech position in the NOC by knowing someone when I was working a restaurant job. They wanted someone who had technical, so I talked to the guy and his sibling was the manager for it.
Nice. Yeah, you'd be surprised how like that networking stuff like works. Everyone gets mad at like nepotism or like, oh, the politics, like, oh, he only got hired because he knows so and so. Well, honestly, that's just how it works. Like, if you go into an interview and your resume is exactly the same as the other guy that you're competing against, then what else is there to separate you from the other guy? You know what I mean? So I think what people get upset with is when things like that happen and then you're bad. Not saying that you were. I'm sure that you were amazing, But anyway, I digress. That's really cool. That's really awesome. Right now, I'm just working a help desk specialist, and honestly, it's kind of low key fun.
201.191.20.1. Great.
All right.
Can be PC3 as well.
Can.
So, in this lab, we looked at how to configure IP addresses on router interfaces.
Company was acquisitioned and I became a network engineer. I was grandfathered into the role.
Nice. Looks like fate played you a good hand. Good for you, man.
How to configure interface descriptions, and how to enable interfaces with a no shutdown command. We also configured IP addresses on PCs in Packet Tracer, and confirmed reachability with ping. That's all for this lab.
All right.
Thank you for watching.
that was a good lab. If you're not subscribed to Jeremy's IT lab, then you definitely should be. He is great. You have broken the great barrier between a lot of people and success on the CCNA. I also believe that the average person doesn't know how to study, and they don't understand how they individually learn. I think that's an advantage that I have over a lot of people. Most people do not have that.
Reinforce everything that I had learned and more.
Yeah, that's why I'm really excited about my IT job that I have right now. Because before, what I was doing is that I was a school teacher, so everything I was doing in terms of IT was all like outside, and my day-to-day job had nothing to do with it really. I mean, there was like a little bit it had to do with, but not a lot. I just had to troubleshoot like things like Blender.
I would say that it was like drinking water via fire hose.
Yeah. I've heard that before. We're gonna do 24. Oh, it just gives me them. Okay. So we're gonna do this. We're gonna.
Teachers don't get paid enough. Much respect for anyone in the role.
Yeah. There's a few school districts that I feel like pay a good wage, but I would say that that is a very, very small percentage. That is not the norm. I was lucky that my last school that I was at definitely paid pretty well. And I mean, not well enough for me to feel like I could start a family or anything like that, but definitely well enough for me to like live. But ultimately, that's why I got into tech, because I was looking for a job or an industry that I could grow with, that I had a lot of room with and stuff like that. But clearly I'm still pretty good at the whole studying and teaching thing. So what we're going to do with this is that we are going to look at the answers. We're going to treat it like a math equation, because that's basically what it is. And we're going to kind of like work our way backwards to see what we're doing here. Yes. So here's our target IP address, 10.100.62.153/27. So that means our network is 10.100.62. We're not worried about the last octet. Our first host. What? Wait, what?
I learned to study efficiently from I Can Study. Not sure if you ever heard of it.
No, I haven't. I'll give it a quick Google. I Can Study. Bad gateway. Master new skills and knowledge in half the time. Get started. Case studies. Huh. Learn faster and get more more time back. Evidence-based learning systems proven over 30,000 learners. Well, this is pretty cool. Yeah. Sweet. I'll have to look more into that. Let's reload this, because I don't really understand what's happening. So, show all. Autofill in non-interesting octets. No, I want you to show me all the answers. Okay, let's see here. What is subnetting? Subnet cheat sheet. I don't really want to watch a whole nother video. Subnetting, 60 seconds or less. How to solve any subnetting, video 3. Okay, this looks like this could be its own whole stream. And I'm not gonna lie, I'm extremely tired because I stayed up way too late last night. Then it's totally my fault. We're gonna do this on Tuesday, and I'll actually look more into it to make sure that I know how to use it. I thought that it was just gonna show me the answers and I'd be able to like use it to work backwards and like talk about it and stuff. But it's not gonna do that. Like it's wanting me to do like the whole like real thing.
I don't want to do another video as well.
Yeah. So next time let's next one is going to be interface configurations and IPv4 headers. I'll figure out where the actual subnetting video is for Jeremy, and then I'll work it in with that as well. I also want to start doing subnetting every single day, but man, I just don't have it in me to watch like another video. So we'll come back to this on Tuesday, possibly Thursday, and many more times after that. I am going to go take a nap because I'm exhausted. So I will catch you guys later. Y'all have a wonderful day. Don't forget to like and subscribe, share the stream, like the stream, all that good stuff. Definitely helps out the algorithm. If you're here with Paradiddle Pete, I strongly urge you to go check out.
Take care.
Thanks, man. I strongly urge you to go check out Tyler Lamond. This is my tech channel. This is what's going on here. I have tons of labs and tons of videos that I've been working on. So go subscribe there. That's where that stuff's at. If you're into video game stuff, then I'll be streaming some more video game stuff on Tuesday, Thursday. Study streams are on Monday, Wednesday. Both of them are at 8 o'clock. 8 a.m. are study streams. 8 p.m. are gaming streams. I will catch you guys in the next one on Monday morning. Or tomorrow. Wait, what is it? I'll catch you tomorrow where we will play more High on Life. Bye, guys.